Peace, family. I know on this past Wednesday, we covered a lot of information, especially with what's about to go down in Africa all over again. So, I'm Yehuda. This is YAH'S Assembly. So, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and share our content. Just a brief reminder. There was something that was coined the phrase "Metel Africa," and basically it was for the Germans or the European powers to reconquer, if you will, the continent of Africa. And it's relevant now because that's what's actually going on, in case you aren't aware. Before it was, we read from this book called "The Germany's Black Holocaust" from 1890 to 1945. We didn't go too deep in it, but it's just some good information for anybody that wants to know more about the other atrocities that happened in Germany. We'll say it like that. Just a little bit from the book. It says, while the master race policies persisted during World War II, black POWs, which is prisoners of war, and others were subjected to medical experiments in Germany. Germany supposedly as part of a larger Nazi plan for the conquest of Metel Africa. So Metel meaning middle, or the main areas of natural resources is what they wanted. The Metel Africa plan called for exploiting African resources to economically bolster Nazi Germany. To accomplish this goal, the Nazis planned to reconquer the German colonies as well as other African territories surrendered after World War I. So that was the whole plan for them, right? They had to get all of their resources to reconquer Africa. And it's relevant today for what some of these high-ranking or used to be high-ranking people are actually stating about the continent of Africa. Just to continue, to make this quick, it says the idea was to resettle and enslave blacks, to expropriate black property and land, to form a polite state or a police state under Heinrich Himmler's direction, and to put into effect the Nuremberg laws of 1935, proclaimed at a special session at the Reichstag at the annual Nazi Party rally in Nuremberg, which had been adopted for the German colonies, right? So the Nuremberg laws were supposed to be going after the Jewish people, right? But people of color ended up getting caught in the crosshairs. And then they ended up getting tested on, becoming guinea pigs for different sterilizations and different quote-unquote vaccines. And all of this was because they were trying to, when I say they, I'm talking about the Germans or the so-called European. They were actually trying to find out why, quote-unquote black or African people can survive in hot or tropical areas and why they cannot. Because in order for Metel Africa to actually work, they would have to be able to survive in these tropicals, what they termed it, areas of climate. And so this whole time, people have always been wondering, like, why? Why are they so enamored? Why are they so into finding out, or studying people of color? We'll just call them like that. I don't really like to use the term black if I can avoid it. If you ever get a chance, go look up what black means in the Black's Law Dictionary. because when politicians and with lawyers, when they start talking, you think that they're speaking in plain English, but they're actually talking a whole nother language that's called legalese. Legalese. And according to that dictionary, in that language, black means that you are a dead entity. So when people keep calling themselves black, it already had a negative connotation. That's why they were so quick to place that on quote unquote peoples of color. And then that gets you away from being a nation. That gets you away from nationality, because a color cannot get reparations. Nobody comes back to save a color. You can come back to save people from a nation or a clan or a tribe, but not from a color. So just some food for thought. Also, so one of the main people that's talking about quote unquote recolonizing Africa is a guy by the name of Eric Prince. And before we talk about him real quick, remember from some of the previous lessons when we were learning about the World Economic Forum, some of the biggest things that were going to happen was going to be involuntary immigration or migration. So people were going to get resettled. Now, I know this was from 1890 to 1945. What does that have to do with today? So this guy, now Eric Prince, we're going to read a little bit about him and then we're going to watch a video so you can get his words and not mine. Eric Prince has been many things in his 54 years on Earth. The wealthy heir to an auto supply company, a Navy SEAL, the founder of the mercenary firm Blackwater. It's a mercenary firm. In other words, they go do things that are more likely illegal as long as they're paid good, which conducted a notorious 2007 massacre in the middle of Baghdad. So when all that stuff was going crazy over there, they were some of the people that got hired to go and massacre and kill people. Now, this guy is also the brother of Betsy DeVos, which is Donald Trump's Secretary of Education. A shadow advisor to Trump, so he's got ties to the previous president, maybe the next one, and the plaintiff in a lawsuit against The Intercept. So he started this podcast. It's called Off Leash, and he said some pretty controversial things. I'm not going to read to you what he says. I just want you all to listen and to watch it, and y'all make y'all's own decision on if you think that's the right thing to do, if you think he's right. So I'm just going to play this video. Oh, it's doing it again. You got to be kidding me. Well, every time. It don't make no sense. That don't make no sense at all. No sense at all. Can y'all even hear it? That's wild. Well, I don't know what it is with YouTube, but I'll get things to play, and then whenever I try to upload it, fair use, by the way. Let me pause it for fair use. Anyway, so in this video, Eric Prince, he talks about that none of the African and Latin countries can govern themselves. It's all anarchy, and he says that they need to put on their imperial hat again. And so the interviewer was like, "Wait, you got to be careful. Are you trying to say that they should recolonize Africa?" And he was like, "Yes, we need to," because he says that their governments are corrupt. All they do is kill each other, and they've proven that they cannot govern themselves. Now, mind you, you got organizations that are supposed to stop all wars, like the UN, that was founded in 1945, and has been in Africa for over 60 some odd years, and literally has not been stopping anything. You got the United States and these other countries like China and Russia who already have footholds in Africa, and what they do is they literally go over there, they pay insurgents, train them up, and then they prop whatever leader they want to be in charge of it to keep destabilizing the region, the continent. And so especially when you look at everything that's going on in the world, Um, it's the battle for natural resources. So, there's different scriptures when the Most High is talking about how, they've parted my land and, the times of the Gentiles and all this and that. But everyone knows, which we're probably going to get into tomorrow, that the balance of power is shifting, right? With all the polar shifts, with April the 8th, which is our Passover, which is going to be a day of signs and seasons, right? Of, completing the X over the United States. If you're not aware of what's going on, we're gonna read some articles. Hopefully, YouTube will actually let me play some videos, so you can get it from someone else, so you don't think that I'm making this information up. But even over in the European countries, even over in these other organizations like BRICS and whatnot, they are literally saying that the United States or the West power is over. And so what you're starting to see is everyone is trying to really get a foothold in Africa. That's why what we learned on Wednesday and then the last Sabbath or Shabbat, the UN just did a mass evacuation, leaving New York City, going to Nairobi, Kenya. Now, if you don't know anything about Kenya, another thing that we learned was the fact that where the Jewish people were originally going to go to was actually a part of Kenya. So prior to them going to the Middle East, right, in 1947, 1948, it says the British Uganda program was a plan to give a portion of British East Africa to the Jewish people as a homeland. So that's the Horn of Africa, depending on the definition. The offer was first made by British Colonial Secretary Joseph Chamberlain to Theodore Herzl, Zionist group in 1903. So they were already planning, to leave Europe, but they were going to go to this specific place. He said he offered 5,000 square miles of the Maui Plateau in what is today Kenya and Uganda. The offer was a response to programs against the Jews in Russia, and it was hoped the area could be a refuge from persecution for the Jewish people. And like I said, so the United Nations that has been over there for over 60 years, over half of their peacekeeping operations are in Africa. Now, I'm not saying that Africa has the best track record, but I'm saying that that organizations like the UN, like the United States, they don't really want African nations to really become stable. And again, we're going to read some articles because if YouTube keeps doing this, then we're just going to read articles. And so you all can see that they've been continuously destabilizing Africa. Just like the inner cities of New York City and Chicago. You always talk about all the drugs and the guns. Where did the drugs come from? Where did the guns come from? I've seen so many interviews where people are just walking or driving around in their neighborhood and they see these big government vehicles come out and then they'll just drop crates full of nothing but guns and ammo, just in random neighborhoods. So you just gotta be aware of everything that's going on. And so Africa is going to be another tipping point when it comes to a global war. So we have Taiwan. Taiwan is going to be a major tipping point, whatever happens in there. And then especially with what your President Biden just said, he basically said that Israel has to do a ceasefire and they better not do something. So if you don't know, America has been under Israel's thumb this whole time. And in order for Israel to be the leading power in the world, the United States is going to have to fall. So in this time, in this hour, we all need to be preparing our hearts for what's going to happen. Because it's really interesting. They won't let you go all the way through the Grand Canyon for some odd reason. That's one thing. But with all the quote unquote refugees and illegal immigrants coming across the border, another thing that we learned is they're not allowing immigrants from Haiti to come through. There's over 15,000 people from Haiti that are actually suing the Biden administration because they're allowing Chinese people. They are allowing Russian people. They are allowing all kinds of Mexican, Hispanic, Venezuelan people to come through. But people that are of darker, we'll just say of darker hue, they're making sure that does not happen. If a lot of people, if you're not aware, they're really trying to replace us so they don't have to pay us the reparations. So it's just a lot of things to be paying attention to. Pay attention to the movies. Pay attention to what they're saying in TV shows. Because they're not just giving this stuff to you for entertainment. They're programming you for stuff that's going to happen. I need you all to start paying attention with your spiritual eyes. Don't be deceived in this hour. Know the things that are going to come. But don't be scared of it. Because that just means that our redemption is not. That means that this age is almost over, right? We know that we're stepping into the age of Aquarius, which is an age of information, of knowledge, of wisdom. And this is the year of the wooden dragon, right? This is literally the year of the dragon in the Chinese zodiac. So expect China to be doing some big things this year. Maybe they actually take back Taiwan. And if they do, or if they attempt to, that's going to start World War III right there. And pay attention to what's going on in BRICS with, what is that? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And then they're adding a conglomerate of more nations. They have their own currency. And now their economies have actually outgrown or surpassed those in the United States. And so you wonder why inflation is going so crazy. And you wonder why Biden, he was trying so hard to make people believe that the nation is doing so much better. When there's been so many influx or so much of an influx of people that people really don't know who to trust. With these immigrants coming, killing people, stealing, whatever. You gotta be careful. You gotta know those that labor among you. And your faith has got to be solid because in the years to come, it's going to be tested. There's going to be another civil war, more than likely. And on top of that, there's going to be a depression-like situation that's going to end up happening. And if you're not rooted and grounded in faith, you're not going to make it. So use the time that you have to really build your faith muscle. The survival of yourself and your families is going to depend on the work that you're putting in now. Do not take America for granted. Because when it falls, you will never see another nation like this. This great social experiment, it's almost over. Because biblical prophecy is being fulfilled. And in order for the other end times prophecies to be fulfilled, then the whore of Babylon has got to fall, which is America. America is the arm of Babylon. So just stay prayed up, folks. Again, I'm Yehuda. This is YAH'S Assembly. So please subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and share our content. And as always, until next time, peace, family. Whoa.